brief overview of the entire Parsha, Torah portion, which was from Genesis 12 verse 1 to chapter 17 verse 27. And I'm going to focus only on chapter 12 verse 1. And I'm going to highlight others who answered Yahweh's call to action. Okay, so chapter 12. Elohim tells Abram to get out, one, of the land of his birth, which is Haran, away from his relatives, and leave his father's house and go to a land that he would give him. So Abram crosses over the river Euphrates on the beginning of his journey. This symbolizes the crossing over for us from practicing the pagan rituals of his father's household to following the instructions of his creator in true worship. And this is just a map of where they started. Initially they were in the land of Ur, as part of Babylon, and they traveled up to Haran. That is where he was when he got the call to get out of the land. And they traveled to Damascus, Canaan, and they went to Egypt. Okay. They journeyed to Egypt when Abram told Sarai to lie about their relationship, if you all remember that, saying she's his sister, not his wife, but actually she was his half-sister.
It's a half lie.
Yeah, it was a half lie. A full lie. Yeah. Subsequently, she was taken by Pharaoh to be one of his concubines, but Elohim caused a plague to fall on Pharaoh's household.
So why not on the lie?
Next slide. Pharaoh quickly figured out the situation and returned Sarai to Abram and kicked them out of his land. Because too much was going on.
Oh,
Okay, next
that's a big foot.
Get out of my land, Gary. Okay, chapter 13. Abram and Lot part company because the land, they were in Canaan at this point, is not big enough to support both their flocks. Because Abram, when he left Haran, he was rich. He was already rich. And when they went to Canaan, when the Pharaoh took Sarai, he gave Abram more flock. So he was, he added on to what he already had. Plus Lot had his own stuff. And Lot's people and Abram's people were fussing because there wasn't enough land to feed the sheep. And so Abram now tells Lot to choose a territory to live, and whichever direction he chooses, then Abram would go in the opposite direction. Lot chose to settle in the plains of Jordan, where the city of Sodom was located. Now, one point. When Lot, the Bible says that Lot settled near Sodom. But in subsequent chapters, you'll see that he eventually moved into Sodom, which I think is something that, you get comfortable being on the outskirts of what is not right. But then you get more and more comfortable, and you just shift a little bit more until you're fully immersed in unrighteousness.
Yeah. You ever hear that deception of the gradual? That's what it sounds like, right? Little thing.
So, eventually, you get comfortable and you settle in on unrighteous things. And this decision turned out to be a very poor choice later for life. And I don't know if Sutter's gonna touch on that later. Anyway, in chapter 14 now, the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah went to war with several other kings and lost the battle. And their people were taken captive. And who was included in that captivity? Lot and his family. Now, Abram was able to save them and pays homage to Melchizedek. And this is the first time a priest of Yahweh is mentioned in Torah. Chapter 15. Yahweh reassures Abram and promises him a son. Also tells him that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the heaven. I'm sure Abram at this point is saying, am I following a crazy fellow? I have no kids and I'm old. How my descendants going to be more than the stars in the sky? Anyway, Abraham was a man of faith, and he wasn't like me. So, okay, in chapter 16, Abraham had a child with Sarah's handmaid at the suggestion of Sarai. Now, sometimes when the Father tells us that He's gonna do something for us, we can't see a way for Him to do it. Just like with Isaac's wife, and she was pregnant with the twins, with Esau and Jacob. The Lord said the younger is gonna be greater than the older, and they was gonna serve the younger. And as they grew, she could not figure out how is this gonna happen. And she took things in her own hand, and you know the whole story. You know, Jacob stole the blessing from Esau, and Esau hated him, and he had to leave. He never saw his mother again. Okay, so Abram had a child with Hagar, and they named him Ishmael. At this point, Abram was 86. When they left Haran, he was 75. So, you know, it's a lot of years to hold on to the promise. And, you know, that's why, you know, Sarah said, maybe I'll just help the Lord along. I'll help him.
He needs help.
Chapter 17. Okay, circumcision, the sign of a covenant is established. Abraham was told to circumcise himself, all the male newborns at 8 days old, and also every male that was born in his household and those he had bought. The old man to be circumcised. Ouch. Okay, Abraham's name was changed to Abraham, and Sarai's name was changed to Sarah. And Sarah is promised a son in her old age. And of course, we know when the three angels came to the tent and told Abram that Sarah's gonna have a child, she heard and she laughed to herself. She laughed to herself. I said, these people are crazy. I'm old. Anyway. So okay, so let's go into the portion now. So Lecha also means go forth yourself. Now in order to look at this phrase, let's go back to chapter 12, verse 31. And it says, and Terah told Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife. And they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran and dwelt there. Now, Ur of the Chaldeans is an ancient region of Babylon. And we know Babylon means confusion or mixture. So Abram's father was taking them out of confusion to go to Canaan, yet unknown promised land, but ended up in Haran where he, the father, Abram's father, died. And so they stayed there. When we get to chapter 12, Elohim now tells Abraham, Lecha, go forth yourself. So it's no longer up to the father to chart his path. It's not up to Abram to
Continue the journey.
Continue the journey that his father unknowingly started. Without hesitation, Abram did as Yahweh had commanded.
Did they have car back then?
They traveled a little bit.
You should have got careful.
Without understanding Greek, as it says, without understanding what was in store for him, he packed up and left. You see, they packed up and they left. They packed up.
He just said, that on my part.
This could not have been easy because Abram was a man of prominence in Babylon, was recognized as a mighty prince. We see that in Genesis 23 verse 6. And was 75 years old when Yahweh asked him to leave the comforts of life in Babylon, to trek across the desert to the backward region of Canaan. No doubt this was not an easy move. Matthew 10:35 to 37 says, for I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and a daughter against her mother, the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foe shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Now, let me just pause right here. Although this is telling us that there's going to come a point when the Lord's going to tell us to leave our family. He's not telling people to hate their family,
Right.
Abandon.
their family, because there's a command that says to children, honor your father and mother. You know, it can be two opposite things. I read in the paper last week of a group in Jamaica. It's a religious group, and apparently they teach them to be separate from their family, but the young man went as far as to curse his mother. She came to look for him, and he cursed his mother. I did not, and that is why sometimes people get the wrong impression, the wrong understanding from the behavior of Christians or believers. We misinterpret scriptures and give God a bad name. Because people will look at this and say, I have every reason to curse my family, to be set apart. But that's not what God is calling us to do. We're to be set apart in such a way that we can still honor our parents and honor God. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was gonna say also that has to do also with being unequally yoked. Also, like if you have a wife who's not a believer,
Right.
you know, don't just like get divorced because you found a new
Yes,
faith.
that's another point. Yes, yeah, and some camps encourage that.
Yeah.
And you know, nowhere in Yahweh's word, you know, does he say you are to abandon. An example that comes to me, maybe not a very good example, but it just came to me. Remember Abigail? One of David's wives. Remember she was married to a man that was in all eyes an idiot. Because when David and his men went to him, he did not respond like Abraham to the three men. David and his men needed nourishment because they had just fought some battle. And they stopped by his place and asked for food. And the man ran them away. And when the wife heard, Abigail, she was horrified, but she, you know, under cover, she sent food to David's people. I mean, she could have cursed him out, and because she knew that a curse would be upon him.
Because she feared that David gonna kill.
Right. She was afraid David was gonna
And
kill.
that man, he was a rich man.
Yes.
He was very wealthy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know,
But
the Bible tells us the right things to do in circumstances like this. We are never encouraged to curse people because they don't believe how we believe.
and as I look at verse 37, it will correlate with 35. God is not asking us to abandon our family. He said, he that loveth his mother and father more than me
Right.
is not worthy of me. That means it's not club abandon family, but to put God first.
Yes,
Right.
yes, yeah.
Right.
Next time. Yeshua also tells us of eternal rewards for those who, like our father Abraham, set out in faith for a new spiritual destiny in Matthew 19:29, and it says, and anyone that has forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit eternal life. So there is a reward. Maybe not an earthly reward, but a heavenly reward when we put God first.
Amen.
Moses heard Yahweh's voice, and even though he was a bit reluctant at first, as we see in Exodus 3:11, Moses said unto God, who am I that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? He was reluctant at first, but he obeyed the call to gather Yahweh's people and led them out of Egypt. Leading the people. Matthew 4, 18-21, we read, as Yeshua walked by Lake Kinneret, he saw two brothers who were fishermen, Simon known as Kepha and his brother Andrew, throwing their net into the lake. Yeshua said to them, come after me and I will make you fishers of men. At once they left their nets and went to him. Going on from there, he saw two other brothers, Jacob, son of Zebedee, and John his brother, in the boat with their father Zebedee, preparing their nets, and he called them. At once they left the boat and their father and went with Yeshua. Yeshua called his disciples to follow him immediately, not even waiting to bury a father. Luke 9, 59-62. To another he said, follow me. But the man replied, Sir, first let me go away and bury my father. Yeshua said, let the dead bury their own dead. You go and proclaim the kingdom of God. Yet another said, I will follow you, sir, but first let me say goodbye to the people at home. To him Yeshua said, no one who puts his hand to the plow and keeps looking back is fit to serve in the kingdom of God. Which reminds us of Lot's wife. She looked back. As Elohim put an end-time call to his set-apart people to leave an end-time religious system that is comprised of a little good and a little evil. I'll celebrate Passover and then I'll celebrate Easter. Or I'll celebrate Hanukkah and Christmas. No, that is mixing. Revelation 18 verse 4 says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues. Is he calling a remnant to come out of religious confusion, Babylon, back to Canaan, the land of Israel, to reunite with the Hebraic, Abrahamic roots of their faith? Is he calling us to be set apart? Yes, he is. And that is what I got from Genesis 12 verse 1.
Very good.
Amen. I'm getting to tell us.
Go back.
You're fired. Get back up there.
No, we love your
That's
touch.
great. That's Lecha. All right. So this time now we have